Assassin's Creed Mirage is not what I was hoping for, to say the least, but I'm not going to rant about how the game has nothing new to offer. It's incredibly pretentious to say a game has no value because it doesn't advance the medium. There's value in simply enjoying what's already been made. Besides, we should save that hate for the soul-sucking live service garbage that wants to drain all the joy, taste, and money out of its player base. But I have an issue when you try and recreate a game from the past, and in your recreation, you include the worst things about those old games, when after 15 years it really should have been solved by now. I am of course referring to the parkour of Assassin's Creed. AC1 was a great game. It took an intriguing concept and setting, blended it with some sci-fi elements, and wrapped it all up with an excellent parkour playground to run around in. In theory, the idea of open-world parkour sounds really cool, and would be a hugely satisfying experience, jumping from building to building in a free-flowing state. The problem is that, at the time, this simply wasn't feasible. Altair wasn't able to traverse a location with so many things to hold on to, and the amount of control the player actually had over Altair was minimal. This would lead to him getting caught on terrain, or not latching onto the footholds the player wanted him to, as well as the time it takes getting from jump to jump feeling incredibly janky, with Altair pausing after every jump before registering the next one. It made what was meant to be free-flowing quite clunky and unintuitive. I haven't played any of the classic-style AC games past the original, but I'm not sure they could have fixed the issue. In fact, I'm pretty confident of it, as now that we skip ahead 15 years to AC Mirage, I was shattered to find that nothing has changed after all this time. Now, don't get me wrong, comparing the cities of AC1 to Baghdad is a night and day comparison. Just looking at how well designed Baghdad's layout is and how it's engineered towards parkour is impressive. No matter what direction you head in, Ubisoft has included some kind of interactable for you to use to traverse the streets. It's astonishing just how much planning has gone into this open world. Ropes, poles, cranes, and beams. There are so many ways to interact with this bustling city. I'm just so disappointed that it's so janky to interact with. Now, if this is your first video on my channel, there's a chance you discovered it by searching Assassin's Creed Mirage Parkour, hoping to see some fluid and sick traversal, and you've clicked on this video to know why I'm putting a dour on it. I've watched those videos too, and they are undoubtedly smooth and satisfying to watch, although there are a few things to note about them. Firstly, these creators didn't just start recording a random free roam session. They've spent time exploring the open world and precisely mapped out the route for their video or TikTok. They've been practicing this as their run to make the final product as smooth as possible. These videos don't represent natural gameplay or how the average player will feel when moving between objectives. Another thing to consider is that I noticed these videos don't feature the short pause Bassam takes between each jump, which I found curious, so I commented under these videos asking the creator what platform they were playing on. The ones that replied all answered PC, followed by a sequence of numbers and letters that I can only assume represent impressive specs, so the pausing may be a technical issue. I played on Xbox Series X, so it's possible that if your PC is good enough, then the game takes no time to process the movement between each leap. I once said Mirage was my second most anticipated game for the rest of the year, and that statement was based on the fact it was going to be a classic Assassin's Creed experience, but with the issues of clumsy parkour finally solved, and being a genuine, fluid, responsive, and open-ended parkour system. But there are just so many hiccups that irritate me about this system. For example, why do I have to hold A to free run? That takes away the interactivity of the traversal. Wouldn't it be more engaging for me to press A when I want to jump and incorporate some skill into the free roam? If I can walk along ropes between buildings, then why can't I stand on top of zip lines and walk up them? One-way pathways are counterintuitive to the idea of free roam. And while I'm on the subject of ziplines, and this doesn't matter at all, I just have nowhere else to say this, how can Basim slide down them using his bare hands? As someone who's ripped all the skin off his legs in a treadmill accident, it makes me recoil in horror every time I use the zipline. Assassin's Creed Mirage isn't the modern revisit of classic AC I was hoping for. Instead, it simply is a classic AC game, with ugly parts and all, except it costs more money to develop and it was a lot more stressful on its developers. While Assassin's Creed's live services future admittedly horrifies me to my core, I hope that there's still some kind of future for AC titles of the new and old variety.